Can you hear me? Okay, good. More closer. There we go. Can I just say, wow, I am really grateful that you're all here and surprised to see the room this full, but maybe I shouldn't be, because gut cleansing is something that we all need. And many of us have been hearing about it even more recently. So, thank you for being here. Just after I turned 40 years old, I began having very disconcerting neurological symptoms. There was a weakness in my right leg that led to a limp that I couldn't disguise anymore. And there was a weakness in my right hand, an inability to sign my name. There were times that my words were stuck in my throat and I couldn't seem to get them out. And if it sounds funny today, it's because I've been talking out in that hall, shouting over everyone, so I need this microphone, but that's all that is. There was also a fatigue that I was experiencing that I just assumed was what all the other mothers of 4 were also experiencing. But eventually that level of fatigue led to an inability to get out of my bed, and days when I couldn't function at all. That weakness in my leg, eventually there were times where I would stand up to walk and I couldn't make my leg go. So all of this led me to my doctor, of course, who sent me for an MRI, where they did a scan of my brain and my spine and told me immediately that the scan showed evidence of scar tissue or plaque that is consistent with multiple sclerosis. Then that led to a spinal tap where they were measuring my spinal fluid and looking for the markers of multiple sclerosis. This led my new neurologist, my new friend, my neurologist, to diagnose for me and prescribe an interferon, which is a medication that is commonly given to people with multiple sclerosis. At least it definitely was at the time. I was familiar with the term interferon and this this immunosuppressant drug because my sister also has MS, and I had watched her for the last 4 years be on that drug. And while I never saw her symptoms improve, what I did witness was that she would have an injection on a Tuesday night, and then every Wednesday for 24 hours after that injection, she would be in bed with flu-like symptoms. And I remember hearing from my neurologist that same medication my sister was on once a week, I needed to have 3 times a week. And at that point, I said, I need to do something different. I need to try something else. So while I have always been a person that tends towards the natural answer whenever I can, that was a daunting idea for me when the diagnosis was so dire for me. But we took a trip to Stanford. I was told that if I didn't get on those immunosuppressants, I would be in a wheelchair in a very short time. The amount of scar tissue on my brain and my spine was so significant. So all of this led me to a natural doctor who began asking me questions that sounded very strange at the time. So yes, you have multiple sclerosis, but why you? Why is Jeanine Newman struggling to walk and to talk? And eventually, I began to want to know and understand those answers as well. So this led me to working with this natural doctor, and after a time of working with him, he sent me for colon hydrotherapy. Now, I'd never heard of colon hydrotherapy prior to this, and I wasn't having digestive issues to speak of. I was having trouble walking and talking and functioning. But at this point, I trusted this doctor enough to do what he suggested that I do. And that colon hydrotherapy changed the whole trajectory of the disease for me and really of my life. Now, my story is just one example of that connection between our gut and our overall health. There are many stories you may have heard, but mine is significant and important to me. But I have surrounding me the therapists who work for me. I brought them along with me because they couldn't be in the room. But they're here with their statements and with their own stories. And these 4 women and I have the great honor of serving the community with colon hydrotherapy right here in Danville. And I brought them because I wanted you to understand it's not just about my story. I am the owner of Health 2.0, but it is not just about my story. These women each have stories of their own transformation and their own turning points in their life when colon hydrotherapy made such a difference that they would make the radical decision to become certified and credentialed in a modality that most people would never choose to do. I've often said that children do not aspire to become colon hydrotherapists when they're adults. They might consider wanting to be a nurse or a doctor or, a fireman, who knows? But cleaning out colons doesn't generally make that list. And the reason that we end up here is because this work really finds us. And that's because of our stories. And that those experiences that we've had are what lead us to having a level of empathy and care and presence with our clients that I believe makes this work and what we get to do so special. So, yes. So what is colon hydrotherapy? It is the gentle cleansing of the colon using filtered water, and it is related to the oldest of the old-timey remedies called the enema. Whereas in an enema where you would fill the colon once and go to the bathroom and release, in colon hydrotherapy for a 45-minute session, we fill you with clean water and your body pushes that water back out, and then we fill you again. And then your body pushes that water back out with some waste and some toxicity. And by doing that over and over again for a 45-minute session, we have a better chance of getting into the deeper layers of the colon. And every time we flush out the colon, then contents, here's the colon, sorry, I should have said this, I brought this for a reason. The colon is this here. It's about 5 to 6 feet in length, or about as long as you are tall, and about the diameter of your wrist. And every time we flush out the colon, then contents of the small intestine will have an opportunity to shift into the large intestine because we've made some space. Now the small intestine is about 23 feet in length and about half the diameter of your wrist, which is amazing, really. But we are full of an intestinal tract that for most of us isn't really working the way that it should. But by flushing out the colon, what happens, the small intestine contents move in, and then we can continue to flush that out of the body. Now remember, the small intestine is where you absorb the majority of your nutrition. And for most of us, those intestinal walls are very crowded. So that nutrition's trying to get down a crowded hallway. But if we can clean out the intestinal tract well enough, then people are able to absorb the nutrition that they're taking in. Now, I mentioned that this is related to the enemas, and honestly, for as long as we've had recorded history, there is evidence of enemas being used because there was historically an understanding that if we were clean inside, we could be well. There's a papyrus from 1550 BCE called the Ebers Papyrus that has instructions for giving an enema using the long beak of an ibis, which is a very long-beaked bird, as the speculum, and the scrotum of a deer as to hold the water. And today we have a much more pleasant and likely sanitary way to administer colon hydrotherapy. So that the therapist will help the client. The client actually does the insertion of the speculum into the rectum with the therapist's help because she knows what she's doing. And then there's 2 hoses attached to it. So either we're filling your body with clean water through the clean water hose, or your body's pushing that water back out through the waste hose. The water isn't running in and out of your body at the same time. It's either we're filling or you're releasing, and repeat that several times throughout the session based on that client's need, okay? So I like to say that colon hydrotherapy is the clearest, picture-perfect metaphor for releasing the things that no longer serve us. Because believe me, that old toxicity and waste in your colon that most of us don't realize how much is there, that is doing your body no favors. And by releasing that, there is a better opportunity for healing, which is exactly what happened for me. What we find is that it allows our clients notice that they're better able to reconnect with their bodies, to release what they don't even realize that they're carrying, and find out how good they can feel. I cannot tell you how often, because it's so often, that clients, even the most nervous clients, the ones that come in with the most anxiety about going through this process, stand at our desk afterwards and hold their bellies and say, I had no idea. I had no idea I could feel this good and this light. I had no idea that my brain fog could lift this quickly, that I could feel like the world isn't such a terrible place, and maybe I might have margin to face the stress that I'm under, because we carry so much in our gut. For me, colon hydrotherapy was the beginning of real healing. So back to my story. When my doctor first sent me for colon hydrotherapy, sent me for 3 days in a row of colon hydrotherapy sessions. I wasn't fasting, I was just doing 3 sessions in a row just to clean out the surface layers, because I'd never done this before. And I came back in a month. This was all in Southern California because my doctor was down there, so I was traveling to see him. So I came back a month later and I did a 7-day cleanse, which is 7 days of fasting and 8 sessions in a row. So if you can imagine every day, if you're not adding to the contents of your digestive tract, you're not adding fiber and things that your body has to work to process, but you are washing out the colon on a daily basis, then those contents from the small intestine are moving in on a daily basis. And that's how we get into the deeper layers of the small intestine as well, which is why I spoke about that absorption and nutrition. That's where that happens. Now, in this particular cleanse, and we do this cleanse at HealFest, of course, it involves drinking shakes like 5 times a day that have bentonite clay, psyllium, apple juice, and water in them. Now, that bentonite clay is like a salve. So if you have poison oak on your skin, if you were to put bentonite clay on it, it would help to draw the poison out. But if you're ingesting bentonite clay, it's pulling things off the walls of the intestinal tract so that you can expel out what we call mucoid plaque. And if you want to, not while you're having dinner or anything, if you'd like to, you could look up images of mucoid plaque. And because people post their photos, because it's fascinating, because it looks like someone made a mold of your colon and filled it with tar. And it is paradigm shifting, let me tell you, to go through 7 days of fasting and 8 sessions in a row, and still on the 8th day to see ropes, and I'm talking about yards and yards of old mucoid plaque coming out of your body. Now for me, when that first week was over, symptoms went away and never came back. So there was there was no way that I could, excuse me, tickle in the throat. Lots of talking out there on that floor, let me tell you, it's amazing. So many people here. For me, when those symptoms went away, there was no way that I could keep from relating what I had just witnessed come out of my body, because let me tell you, once you've seen, you can't unsee this. And the fact that the symptoms in my body were gone. This changed my life for obvious reasons. have an MRI 9 years ago. I had avoided it for 10 years. I don't really love getting in that tube and having the brain cage around my brain and the banging, and why do that when I'm feeling so well? But I had to do it 9 years ago, and I ended up being so very glad that I did. And this is why. When my neurologist, when I met with her after the MRI, she said, keep doing whatever it is you're doing, Jeanine. Which is exactly what you want to hear from your doctor, especially when you're not taking the medication they prescribed. And so I was so happy to hear that, but also I could see the scans for myself. And there was 10 years between these scans. Now there was a few beforehand where the scans that the MRIs I was having, you could see the scar tissue on my brain and on my spine was changing and morphing. I should explain this. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease where the body is attacking the myelin sheath around the nerves, okay? Which is why there can be so many different presentations of symptoms in people with multiple sclerosis, because it just depends where on the nervous system the nerves are misfiring, right? So for me, it was causing me to struggle to walk and talk and function. For some people, it would create numbness or tingling or pain, right? For me, it was the walking and the talking and the functioning. And so, back to what I was saying about those scans, what I was also so impressed with was that this scan from 10 years prior, and this scan were the same. Which is why my neurologist was so impressed, right? And I knew what I'd done in between. And what had happened was that I had stopped the progress of that disease, which is amazing. Now, the other thing that was fascinating to me is that the scar tissue was still there. It's not like it had gone away and that's why I was better. That scar tissue, that same scar tissue that was causing me to struggle to walk and talk, it was still there, but my symptoms were gone. And what that told me is that my body had found a way to rewire around that scar tissue. Now we hear a lot today about neuroplasticity, about the ability of the brain to change and the ability of our bodies to create new neural pathways, right? And I believe that's what happened to me. And it happened to me because I addressed my gut health, which is fascinating. And I believe that as a colon hydrotherapist, my story has more power and impact for people because I wasn't struggling with Crohn's or colitis or even IBS or anything that we would typically relate to digestive distress. I was having trouble walking and talking. So, all that to say, my body created new neural pathways, and that's why I'm able to stand up here in front of you today and tell you my story. So I think there's probably an understanding already about why our gut health matters so much and why so many of you in this room. We know that it's integral to the drainage funnel. If you can picture a drainage funnel where your cells are detoxing, your liver, your kidneys, your filters are helping to filter out what you don't need. Isn't it fascinating that our digestive tracts were made to help to filter out what we don't need so that we can process what we do, so that we can benefit from the nutrition that we do need? I just love that. But that drainage funnel ends with the colon. And if the colon is full, if the colon is not functioning like it should, then the rest of that drainage is really going to struggle. Another reason though, and more we're hearing now about, is that digestion is really the second brain. The gut is our second brain, and it is directly connected to the brain through the vagus nerve. We have the science now that shows us and proves that there is a neural pathway that directly connects our guts to our brain. There is constant communication. There are 500 million neurons in the enteric nervous system, which is the system that innervates the the colon and the digestive tract. How amazing is that? But also, think about it, if your gut's not feeling well, if you've eaten something that's bothering you, or your gut is full, or you're constipated, then it's difficult to think straight. And it's hard to feel emotionally well. Conversely, when we're depressed, when we're anxious, when we're struggling because we're so overstressed, the gut is also impacted by that. So it's a two-way street. And I love this this quote from Brene Brown, who I also love, that we call our emotions feelings because we feel them first in our bodies before we even sometimes register them cognitively, which is why we have clients experience at times an emotional release when they're having a colon hydrotherapy appointment. There can be emotions involved because it is all so very connected. I would say that our culture, the pace that we live at, the toxins in our world, all of these impact us in every way, and they're hard to avoid. I've heard people say, I want my colon to function on its own. I don't want to do anything to help it out because it should just do it on its own. And I don't want to interrupt these things, and I don't want to take those supplements because my body should be doing that on its own. But that would be to disregard the world that we live in and the food that we eat and the lack of nutrition that we're actually taking in just because of the quality and level of food, for the most part, that we're able to take in. Now, it's probably no surprise now why I would become a colon hydrotherapist at this point. But when I was first a client, I remember asking the therapist that worked with me, interesting line of work, you know, how'd you get into this? And of course, every one of them had a story, but I never thought that I would end up being the lady on the other end of the hose. But here we are. Life takes a funny turn sometimes. And as I continued healing, I became fascinated by that connection between the gut and our mental and emotional health. And I often get to speak about this connection with my clients in our practice at Health2O. I noticed how many people feel disconnected from their gut, how many people feel shame around their digestion, or alone in their symptoms, and how many have never been given a safe space to talk about something so basic and so integral to our lives. So for me, the ability to serve others and witness their healing through this modality became something incredibly redemptive and a way for my own healing to come full circle. And that is true for all 5 of us at Health2O. I would say it is a sacred honor to serve the community that I do in this very vulnerable way. So with that, I'm still doing good on time. I would be open to questions if anyone has questions, and I am not a doctor, I'll say that right away, but I'll answer as best as I can. I saw you first.
What if you have certain colon issues like diverticulosis? Are you able to have
Yes.
colon therapy?
If there has been a recent flare of diverticulitis, we need to wait up to 6 months. We can do so with a doctor's note, but we recommend waiting if there's been a severe flare of diverticulitis. But otherwise, we help people all the time to keep that diverticulosis from flaring again. And what we do, if you imagine, if we're washing out the colon, we're able to remove those things that are going to get into the pockets and create the infections that can be created. Does that answer your question? Okay. And here, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, just before like someone gets a colonoscopy, then you have to go through this whole procedure to clean out the colon,
Yes.
and the crack and everything. what is the difference between what you went through and
Yes.
doing that?
That's such a good question. Most people hate that process. It is, that's part of it. It's not an enjoyable process, I understand, to drink those yucky drinks and be in the bathroom for days at home. So this is kind of nicer. But yes, we're cleaning you out in a less violent way, I would say as well. It is a much more gentle process with the slow filling of the water and your body responding by pushing that water back.
45-minute.
Yes, in 45-minute sessions, yes.
And do you give like general, I mean not general, local anesthesia?
No, there is no anesthesia necessary, really. No, it is nothing like a colonoscopy. There's no camera, there's no diagnostic tools. The speculum really only sits just a few inches into the rectum, and then it's water the rest of the way. So in that sense, also there's not the risk that comes with a colonoscopy from putting a camera all the way through your colon, right? So yeah, well, what else?
So is it just going, I mean, is it just entering through the sigmoid or something, and then, I mean, what's the
It
difference?
just goes into the rectum. The speculum's about this long. Most people don't make it all the way to the end. We're just doing that by feel, and we can't tell you how long your rectum is. So it just goes by feel, but I tell everyone no one goes all the way to the end, don't worry. And once it's been in there for just a few minutes, the sensation of the speculum itself just goes away. Your rectum just adjusts to it, so you don't really feel it anymore. When I do, an orientation for a new client and I show them the kit and this is the speculum, their eyes do this. It's actually quite humorous. Like big football player men look like I'm just gonna hurt them. They're so scared of me, and I promise it's the same size speculum for my little tiny women. But everybody's a little daunted by that idea. But then once it's in there, the body adjusts to it.
The water just flushes all the way up to the colon?
Yeah, so it's that back and forth. Think of it, there's a muscular action to your colon called peristalsis, really your entire digestive system. It's always trying to move things down and out of you, right? But for many people who struggle with digestion especially, that peristalsis is getting lazy. It's not going to work the way that it should, and this is a wonderful way to stimulate that. I like to say we're exercising your colon, really, by putting the water in, and your body pushing that water back out. We're waking up that peristalsis, which is the idea. It's not that you just can only release at Health 2.0. We want this to work for you so that your body starts working better on its own. Okay? I saw another. Go ahead.
So, is it just one sitting? Is it good enough, or?
Okay, that's a great question too. And so typically what we suggest, because of the transfer of contents from the small intestine to the large, people will come in for a first session and they'll ask that very question, like, how often do you think I should come back? And again, we are not doctors, so we're careful to not be prescriptive about that. But we do suggest people come in for like 2 or 3 sessions close together in the beginning because of catching what's coming from the small intestine, right? And then you come to a rhythm that really works for you. And for a lot of like our clients with IBS, they usually get to a point where they're like, I can come every month or every 2 months or something like that, and I don't run into problems. And so we have a lot of people that come in quite regularly, depends on what health issues they're trying to address. I have some clients that come weekly, believe it or not, because they can, and it really benefits their health. I have people that come once a year, and maybe they'll do our 3-day juice cleanse or something and do a good cleaning out. So it's really up to the client. And yes?
At what age can you stop?
Yes, that's a good question too. I do take care, we have a parental consent form. The youngest that I've taken care of was a 6-year-old. But that child needs to be open to the idea. There will be no forcing at L2L. They have to, and I have had, believe it or not, I've had some children who have been like, I'm miserable enough, I need this, I want this. I have lots of clients with disabilities. I have elderly clients. Yeah, we are, and we're ADA compliant, so we're able to take people at all different places, but at the parent of anyone under 18 would be in the room. Right, okay, yes.
Is there any special preparation before and
Very good, yes, you guys are asking great questions. We do have a question on our website, on our FAQ page that says, how should I prepare for my session? And we send that list. It's just a protocol. It's a pretty simple list of foods we recommend that you avoid prior to your session. As far as not eating or drinking, we say not for just 2 hours before the session. That's just to make sure that you don't feel like you need to urinate on the table and have to get up and go to the bathroom and come back, right? But in general, so it's just a list of foods, like things that are difficult to digest, things that you know cause you problems. You want to avoid those just to make your session easier. Yes.
time? How long is the session for?
Yes, it's about 45 minutes of time on the table, but we allow, at Health2O, we allow an hour and 15 minutes for your session. And that's because there's an orientation beforehand, and we want to make sure you have all the time and privacy in the restroom afterwards. We have 3 therapy rooms, and each therapy room has a dedicated bathroom with a bidet for you to clean up and everything afterwards. So we want to make sure you have all the time and privacy that you might need,
Okay.
so you feel good about leaving when it's time to go. Yes.
You mentioned the fasting. So it sounds like a fasting in a different way. Is best this approach?
Yes. So when I spoke of my 7-day cleanse, and I have some 7-day cleansers that are clients in the room right now that can also speak to that. Not everyone comes in fasting. When you're doing a specific fast with colon hydrotherapy like this is a deeper way to detox, believe me. So that bentonite clay one that I mentioned, you wouldn't want to ingest the amount of bentonite clay that you do without doing colon hydrotherapy. I've had people say, oh, I'll do your 7-day cleanse, but I can't come on this day, and I said, I won't do it with you. Because if you're ingesting bentonite clay, we need to be washing that out on a regular basis, or it turns to stone inside of you. So, yes, so not everyone fasts, some people do. Some people come in, I had a client recently on a 21-day water fast, and she did one at the beginning, she did one in the middle, and she did one at the end, and it was very successful for her.
So what I actually ask is, okay, fasting is very popular, or it
Yes.
is becoming so popular. Can be a way without doing that.
To avoid colon hydrotherapy, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, fasting is great. Fasting and colon hydrotherapy is so much more powerful. That's just going to be my opinion as a colon hydrotherapist. What I have seen and witnessed. Yes, yes, that 7-day cleanse that I spoke of, I was going in for sessions 8 days in a row. So that's what makes that so powerful. I did a reel on Instagram with, I did 8 reasons why you need a colon hydrotherapy, and one of them is to boost your cleanse. The cleanse you're already planning to do. If you've done a juice cleanse before or something and thought it was okay, have you done a juice cleanse with colon hydrotherapy? Because we're just going to be able to help you release so much more. I'm seeing someone back there who keeps raising her hand. Yes.
I was gonna ask, because you with the clay, you mentioned that it would release like a mucus.
Mucoid plaque.
Yes, plaque. Does that happen even without your clay? Like if you
Not
just do
usually.
hydrotherapy with plaque?
We don't usually see mucoid plaque at that level without the bentonite clay.
But the
Honestly.
clay goes in and there is hydrotherapy.
Yes.
Because you have to.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Someone else was back here. Oh. Okay, over here. It's you. Go. Yes.
What else should we be doing to maintain results?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What else can we do to maintain the results?
To maintain the results, yes. Oh my gosh, what a great question. Healthy eating a clean diet, definitely. And after a colon hydrotherapy session, we want to make sure, it depends on what the client is going through. If a client comes to me saying, I go to the bathroom maybe twice a week, then we need to talk about some ways to help make that at least once a day. a healthy digestive tract, you are going to the bathroom as often as you have a meal. The train goes into the station, train leaves the station. Most of us don't live that way, but we can help to get you there. And we have other ways. We have, oh my goodness, you were asking me on the fly. I have clients that drink salt water before bed. As long as it's like salt with color, not white salt, salt with the mineral content intact, right? That can help you to make sure that you go to the bathroom the next day. Yes, like a pink salt, a Himalayan salt, right? Something like that. So many things. Olive oil, aloe vera. We have a wonderful supplement called Alolax. It's just concentrated aloe vera in a capsule that really helps people to have more normal bowel movements. But we want to be doing that so that you are maintaining those results. There was someone over here too. Oh, yes, or you.
Does it mean all your good bacteria?
I love that question because that is something that people read on the internet a lot, that what we're doing is stripping the body of the good bacteria. But if you can, the truth is, all of your good bacteria does not originate in the colon, and nor is it always there in the colon. It originates up higher. And so by removing old waste and toxicity, we're allowing new contents to come in, and that is going to help replenish with new gut flora into the colon. And that didn't have a chance when it was full of old waste. Does that help? Yes. Yes.
So, what kind of symptoms to bring to the hydrotherapy? What kind of person?
That's a great question too. We see people really from all states of health and unhealth. Sometimes we have professional athletes come who are so healthy, but they understand that their body is a machine and they want to keep it in tip-top shape. So there is that. And we have people going through cancer treatment. We have all states. I have clients that come in because they're trying to get off their antidepressants, because the mood boost and the relief of releasing old fecal matter, like I said, is such an impact on their mental and emotional health, right?
Is
Yes.
this only in the States and any other countries do this?
There are other countries that do this, yes. I can't name them all, but yes, there are some, and there are some where it is not. I don't know. Yes.
You mentioned the nuclear. Where does that nuclear? Is it in the skull or is it in the skull?
I think it's all throughout, because it's when you ingest the bentonite clay and do the shakes like that it really starts coming down, and it's to what I've seen is way more than would just be in a 5 to 6 foot long colon.
Right, so if someone had a colonoscopy, would the doctors be able to see that?
You know, excuse me, that's a difficult question to answer. It really is, because I can't really answer that for sure. I don't believe, because of the cleaning out that is required before a colonoscopy, they would flush out everything that was there, and they want it to be clean walls, right, in order to determine anything. So they probably would not see any old mucoid plaque, and it's really coming up from up higher. Yes.
That is kind of related to what they just asked for the colonoscopy. Is it possible that this could be something that you could do before you had a colonoscopy?
We do colonoscopy prep with people. Usually, we would want you to talk to your doctor about that. We have people that will do it along with the yucky drink and all the stuff. And we have people that do it without, but they'll be doing some fasting and several days in a row beforehand. We want to make sure that they're really cleaned out. And we can't guarantee that. We don't have cameras. We don't know what's coming down from your small intestine. We don't know how much you're carrying, right? So, but with that awareness, I do have clients that struggle so much with the yucky drink and the protocol before colonoscopy that they prefer to do it this way. Yes.
What if there was a blockage in the colon?
Yes.
Would that be detected with liquid going through you? Would you be able to detect that?
We're helping get those out. Yeah. We can feel things with our hands. We can feel it. We can also feel kind of energetically, if you will. We can feel where our hands need to be. And so we help to release those things for you. No one is asking about parasites.
I was going to share my story.
Oh, I love that. Kristen.
Jeanine is my therapist, and she's amazing. And I'm a nutritionist, so I eat really well. I know all the things that we're supposed to do. But I also know that we have parasites, all of us probably, and if you have animals, probably for sure you have parasites. So I wanted to do cleanses, and I've done cleanses over the years with parasite cleanses, and never saw anything come out. People are saying, oh, you see this in the toilet, blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to work more closely with Jeanine, and so by doing her 4-day, the cleanse with her, I actually released a really large parasite. And you can watch your poop and everything going through the tubes when you're working with them. It's fascinating. And I know it sounds gross, like, oh my God, she must be disgusting, but we all have this in us. But to see it come out was like a revelation, and it's just amazing. So if you ever get a chance to do this, and Jeanine and her staff are wonderful, I would suggest doing it because she makes it so easy. It's nothing that's embarrassing at all, and yeah, you're just wonderful, and I'm just so grateful that I found you.
Kristen, I so appreciate it. Yes, you.
I've got hydrotherapy for other people, and I'm really interested. What table are you at?
Oh, our booth? Yes, we're booth 23. And today we're offering $25 off. We have a little kiosk there, a little iPad. You put in your name and email and phone number. We'll send you a discount code to your email address for $25 off your first session with us. Thank you. Yes.
So how much does the session cost?
Normally, the first session is $175, and then after that, consecutive sessions are $155. We also have packages of sessions that we sell for those that know that they're coming back, and that drops the price a bit as well.
And is it covered or is it not
No. No, it is not recognized in that way. We do take HSA and FSA cards for those who have a health savings or flexible savings account. So yes, I wanted to go back to what Kristen was saying about the parasites. Because we are not doctors or nurses, we cannot diagnose or prescribe, right? And that potential parasite that we saw come out of the person, it just went out to the sewer. It's not like we can test that. We want to be really careful about what we say. However, the client usually sees it for themselves, and it doesn't look normal. And so, and I have seen the hose. I've seen so many over the years. I have seen, I had one client who gave me permission to tell her story, that the hose itself is about 48 inches long. And one day this woman who'd had she actually had a brain injury. She was hit by a drunk driver in 2016. And so she assumed that her digestive issues were related to the TBIs. Almost anyone would, because it impacted her life so much. But after coming to us, her 5th session, coming to Health 2.0, I'm working on her and I'm like, nothing's coming out. And then I see something come out and it's trying to swim back in. And I know what that means. And so I'm like, Rachel, you might want to watch. And when it came out, it went from her body all the way to the machine in a 48-inch hose. It was a 4-foot-long parasite. She was horrified, and I was so excited because I knew she hadn't known to address that before. And what could happen to her now if we began to address the parasite issues? Because I'm telling you, if you've got a 4-foot-long parasite in you, they have friends and relations. There's a family in there that we need to address. And so every time she would come back, for months, we saw more parasites, and that is finally stopped. But it takes time. Yes?
Is it parasite like tapeworm or?
Yes, all the things, yep. Art, yes. Wow, you're coming to the front.
I didn't know so no one has to break their neck.
Oh, that's nice.
I've been seeing her for a couple of years now, and I go once a month ish, but I did a 7-day cleanse, and so the bentonite clay and the fiber attaches, and then it goes in your intestines and kind of scrapes the walls basically, and gets rid of all the mucus. Yeah. And I saw some parasites that were completely insane last year. It was the most disgusting but amazing thing. Like it was something out of an alien. Like it was completely insane, but like refreshing at the same time. So, it was weird. It was.
So is it more effective in the past? Do the juice cleanse? Does that make it a lot more effective?
It does, thank you so much for
Okay.
it does, it's the fasting, imagine if, like I
Oh, you have a
said,
question?
Yeah, how did do you know how you got those parasites? Or
I
what do you
think
that you
everybody
ingested?
has parasites of some sort. You know, to think we don't is everybody has parasites. You know, big, small, 4 feet. But what I've heard was it's in, you know, some types of fish. So I don't eat anything low quality at any point.
Like sushi.
I love sushi.
Yeah, some sushi. I kind of think that if you get quality sushi, opposite of buffets, like, I mean, I'm never eating sushi buffet ever in my life personally, as a person. But, you know, in like raw and rare meat, I'll eat like organic, like grass fed, you know, top tier stuff or whatever. But and this time I just did one last month, and I didn't really see that many parasites, so I'm like, there was a lot in the first go around. It was crazy.
and then you feel
Did they
better.
show you? Did they show you them?
Yeah, she stops it in the machine. And yeah, it's. I'm like, that was inside me. Yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing.
People bring their cameras to the table so they can take photos, because
it's
they're like,
amazing.
my husband's not gonna believe this, or I need to show my GI doctor because he told me I didn't have them. We so often have clients say, but I did a fecal matter test and it didn't show any parasites. Well, let me tell you, just because it wasn't in that sample doesn't mean that it's not there. They tend to congregate down here in the cecum, which is just below where the small intestine and the large intestine meet. And they're quite cozy and comfortable here. But the reason that we see them on multiple day cleanses like that more often is that when we wash out the colon and the contents from the small intestine, they'll rush in, they'll flush in, and they'll flush them out, and they just might be the first thing out the next day. So it is a common pattern, yes.
I'm just curious, like, so when you're eating, let's say someone eats bad sushi,
Yes.
is it like a water butt inside there? And
Yeah,
then
there
it
can be,
grows
and
inside of you, or how's it
they
go?
can be microscopic, and you're not going to eat something that's 4 feet long, but it will grow inside of you, right? So yeah, and they can have been there for a long time. I had a client with seizures, a young guy with seizures, and the parasites coming out of him every session was just fascinating, long, huge, and every time he would release and have a colon hydrotherapy session, his seizures would stop. So it's fascinating. I think they're shutting me down here pretty soon. Yeah, is that true? Am I right?
No, you got
A minute.
Okay, I've got somebody who hasn't asked his question yet. Yes.
How does this procedure, or does this procedure affect your chemistry in the gut, like pH?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, we offer electrolytes to everyone after they're done. We want to replenish the electrolytes for you, so that should address the pH. But because the colon is 5 to 6 feet long, and then we have things coming in from the small intestine, remember, it's going to be replenished. And cleaning up the old waste is such a benefit for maintaining good
And does
pH.
the cleanse go, how far does it go?
Yes, the furthest that we can go is over here to the ileocecal valve where the small intestine and the large intestine meet, right? And that's not even necessarily going to happen in one session. It depends on how much you've been carrying around. And most people are very surprised by how much they've been carrying around. So it might take a few sessions to get all the way through to the other side. But that's why people do deeper cleansing. But we're not passing the ileocecal valve. That valve is to open and close as needed. So we're not going into the small intestine. It's just that when we release things from the colon, then contents from the small intestine can shift in because we've made room.
And the cleansing liquid, is that just like water or?
It's just filtered water, yeah. It's just clear filtered water. We also have an organic additives menu. I will tell you there are things that we can add to the water for those that are interested and have done some cleansing. We have coffee, which people love because it opens up the bile duct for the liver and helps you to detox your liver. But we cannot do any of those things without a doctor's prescription. And I am very careful. We've never given anyone and won't ever give anyone an additive unless we have the doctor's script. And we have a prescribing doctor if your doctor wouldn't do it for you. So we have a doctor that will ask you all the questions I need her to ask you over the phone, and to make sure that all of these things are safe for you. And then the prescription says unlimited refills. So anytime you come in, you can have one of our additives if you choose to. I think I need to let the next person come in. Am I right?
Well, it's 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
What did you say?
It's 3, I just wanted to.
It's 3 o'clock.
Thank you all so much.